Icon Resources is a resource company that's listed on the ASX. It's an emerging tungsten producer. We can't call ourselves any longer a junior explorer with a diversified portfolio of projects. The management team made a very conscious decision to divest any non-tungsten assets, and this has resulted in a successful IPO to Fitzroy Resources, the copper and zinc projects that we have, and we also are going to divest our gold assets in another IPO with Gossan Hill Gold. We're also actively seeking joint venture partners for the remaining non-tungsten assets. The main strategy behind this is that the management team can now focus all its energy on Mt Carbine. In other words, invest in Icon Resources and investing in an emerging tungsten producer. We're in the process of relocating the company and its offices to Cairns, which is only 150 kilometres southeast of Mt Carbine. Cairns is an ideal location for Icon's offices. We have international airports and we have access to the major shipping routes to Asia and Europe. I will also be based in Cairns. Tungsten as a metal and a commodity is in a unique position. There is no substitute for tungsten, but its real value lies in the fact that it is used to make tungsten carbide. The main use for tungsten carbide is in high-speed hardened steel tools in the mining industry and particularly drill bits in the oil industry. It's also got many applications where wear characteristics are important and is some very diverse applications. Because of the many applications of tungsten and the increased usage of tungsten, it has been declared a strategic metal in China and the US. And last year it was declared a strategic metal in Europe as well. The Chinese government has controlled exports from China quite aggressively in the last few years, and also by imposing now its 15% export taxes on tungsten concentrates. A way of demonstrating how the demand has increased would be to look at the prices of concentrates over the last few years. Before we went into the GFC, you could see tungsten concentrates selling for about $220 a metric ton unit. During the GFC, this dropped to about $180 per MTU, and in the last couple of months we have seen concentrate prices break through the $300 mark. So we're now seeing prices of $320 per metric ton unit. We've been very busy at Mt Carbine over the last 6 months to reinforce our three-step strategy for getting carbine into production. The first stage is to get the retreatment of the tailings into production, followed by the low-grade stockpiles, and then in about 5 years' time to commence the hard rock mining. The metallurgical test work and flowsheet design for the tailings retreatment is progressing very well, and we're on schedule to get our results at the end of March. We've now completed the ore sorter test work as well, and that was on the low-grade stockpile, optical ore sorter reject stockpile and the ROM pad. The next stage is to submit bulk samples for metallurgical test work and design a processing plant to process the low-grade stockpiles. This is expected to give us another 5 years of production before we have to commence the hard rock mining. Once the flow sheet has been designed, we can then start building the tailings processing plant and get into production later in this year. We have always intended processing the tailings to produce a combined wolframite and scheelite concentrate. Where the strategy has changed a little bit in the last 12 months is that we now intend to process the low-grade stockpiles before we move into the hard rock mining. The ore sorter test work has shown that the low-grade stockpiles contain tungsten, and the next stage in this development is to do detailed metallurgical test work and flowsheet design on the bulk samples produced from the ore sorter. There's a very strong market for our tungsten concentrates. We have had interest from several key customers from various parts of the world, and we've also had them come and visit us at Mt Carbine. And we've entered into negotiations with several of these off-takers. And I cannot really discuss any more detail than this until the negotiations have been concluded. And we have a strong, robust strategic business plan going forward that is prudent and risk adverse, and it's based on fact and test work that has been completed to date. We have a very experienced management team, and we have considerable experience in project development. I think the key issue here is that Mt Carbine has produced tungsten concentrates in the past, and it will again.